Here we're going to go over some commands that work on visualizing the data. And as we have seen before, one of the major ones that we want to work on is the histogram, because we see the distribution of the values. And let's go with create a histogram for the age variable. So if we run that, what do we see? Also, let's see if this helps. Okay, maybe this is better. No, for some things, yes, maybe for other things, no. So we created a histogram of age. And the histogram comes up in the plots here to the right. I know that you can, if you want to, you can export the file as image or as PDF. You can also zoom. If you zoom, it takes into a new window. If you do it on your machine, you'll see it. I'm not sure if you're seeing this one. And you can do a simple histogram with the standard frequencies, or with the standard bins and standard default parameters, or you can start identifying more parameters. So if the main is going to be the title, this is the parameter, and this is the value of the parameter. If we're dealing with a piece of text as a value, we always put quotes around us. So kind of remember that. X lab is for label. The X label, breaks are the bins. So if we run this, we actually have a better histogram that actually has a nice title and a better term here. We can change the bins if you want to go to 5. Usually 5 is going to be too few, but sometimes I try to test this, and for example, if you do 10 and 12, it doesn't change, but maybe the program finds kind of an optimum level, and that's the histogram. So it kind of looks pretty normal, maybe a little bit skewed to the left, but pretty normal. And we can actually get much more detailed with another kind of plot. So we can bring up this library here, ggplot2, and this is a way to bring in the library to the environment that you're working with. If you don't have this installed, if I already have it installed, so if I just run library.ggplot, it will just accept it. But if you don't have a particular library, you need to install it first. And that's a pretty standard statement: install.packages, ggplot2. This will install the package. I don't need to do it because I already installed, but if you have an issue that it's not coming up, it's because maybe you haven't installed the package. So I'm loading up this ggplot library, which creates nicer graphics. And then I'm going to create a histogram with a bunch of other information, a bunch of other parameters that you can use. So the way to do it might seem a little strange at first, but you kind of identify the function ggplot plus other functions. So this is the histogram for this ggplot library. The data equals COPD. Notice this is the value, this is the parameter, always like this, within parentheses of a function. You're going to have parameters, or let's say attributes, and then the values. This COPD is our data frame that we named ourselves as COPD. Data is the parameter of this function. So it's then each function has their own parameters or attributes that you need to know what they are and how they work, and you do that by checking the manual on the package website. Bins, once again, this is their term, so they don't use breaks, they use bins. Equals 10, we do change this value though as wish, 5 or 10 and so on. Fill equals dark green, column equals black. And notice how we can, if we put a plus sign, we can keep adding these functions. But note that if we go to a next line, it should look a little bit like this, so it all processes as one statement. We have labs, which is for labels, and we have also all the kind of information here about configuration of the histogram. And if I run this whole thing here, what do I get? Oh, object age not found. Object age not found. Oh, X equals age. I put X equals age here, but it should be capitalized. Notice that also I don't need to put COPD money age, because I already told the program that the data is COPD. So when it sees this X for the X-axis, it's already going to know it's from this data here. And run, and then it kind of shows maybe a nicer graph, right? than the previous. And then you can also look into how to add a title and so on by checking the manual for this ggplot histogram. We can also use another histogram for example, for walking distance. So we have that walking distance measure. Actually, this is not walking distance. This is respiratory function, FEV, forced expiratory volume. We can create a histogram for that. We can focus on the simpler way to do about it. Kind of looks a little bit normal, skewed to the right a little bit, but not too bad. So this is another way to create a histogram, or the same simpler way, but with another variable. And here's the way to create a scatter plot. So let's remember the scatter plot is for two continuous variables. So gender is not going to work for us here for the scatter plot, but the walking distance measure, which is this one, and the respiratory function measure, which is this one, they're both numeric continuous variables. So we can use that to create the scatter plot. And if we run that, we see a pretty basic scatter plot. And you can see the linear association. Does one go in a positive association with the other, or does it go in a negative association with the other? And just like with the histogram, the ggplot also has functions for the scatter plot, and it's ggplot. This is a simpler way to go about it. You put the file here, you use this aesthetic kind of attribute. I don't know why they call it AES, but those are the two variables that you're going to plot. And then plus GOM underscore point. This is how you want the points to be rendered in the scatter plot. So if we run this, you see kind of nicer, right? Scatter plot for these two variables here. The same way we can change the labels, and I will ask you to do that. So you need to go to the ggplot manual online. There's various tutorials and websites, and also the official ggplot website, where you see which attributes or parameters you need to use and the values that are associated with the different functions and the different rendering of these graphs. Also, something cool that we can do, and we've talked about, is adding a linear trend line to see the linear trend of our scatter plot. And you just add another, it's kind of the same as before. Notice the command is the same as before. We just add plus, adding a smooth line method, LM, which is linear model. So we're assuming a linear model. We run that, and we get our plot with the linear line there. And stop here, and then we'll go to the last part of this tutorial.